Senior guard Tony Chennault comes into the game for what will be the last moments of his collegiate career.
Time ticking down, Shabazz Napier is kicking our ass.
A tough ending tonight and a loss in the round of 32 to the Connecticut Huskies. The season is over for the Wildcats.
Coming off the court like, damn, this is over. I'm not playing no more games. No other game will really mean something to me now. All my life from 9, 10 to 23, I dedicated to this game is now over.
Here, Garden. I'm gonna pop that. Oh, you got it. Shut up! Go, go.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
When I grow up, I want to be in the NBA.
I want to be a basketball player.
Go!
I wanted to play with the NBA. I want to play with the Heat or the Cavaliers.
If you make a shot, you get like a lot of money. I might buy me a nice car.
Because I like LeBron and I also like Kyrie Irving. Both of them inspire me.
And I always dreamed to be in a three-point contest and a dunk contest.
I want to go to the NBA.
I want to be a star in the game.
Welcome back to the Pavilion. 17:22 to go first half. Villanova leading 22-9 early on. And checking in for the Wildcats, a mainstay off the bench and a captain this year, Tony Chennault, the 6'2" senior from North Philadelphia.
Growing up in Philly was fun. You know, one thing I realized at a young age growing up in Philly, you had to be tough because you constantly going to be challenged. And I was fortunate enough to have 2 older brothers that instilled that in me at a young age. And I just followed their lead. Everything they did, I wanted to do. And also my mom was always there for us, so we constantly did what kids like to do. This is the court you can find me at, man, you know. Man, we in Alany, Fisher Park. That's where it all started at. A little kid with a dream and a vision for basketball to take many great places around the world, and it started right here on this court. This is one of my spots right here. I always make corner threes right here.
I don't like that shit, too. You gotta say Tony Chennault.
Growing up, we played with older people. We never really played basketball with nobody our age, because really they wasn't on our level. All we really had was basketball to stay out of trouble.
I used to be up here from like 7 in the morning to like 9 to 10 at night every day. Things wasn't always the greatest and safest. This was my escape from the reality of when I left this part. You know, seeing people my age start selling drugs at 13, 14, getting involved in the streets, getting locked up, making bad decisions. So I escaped that reality by being up here. You know, at a young age, people know, like, yo, he's cool. That's Tony, he played basketball. Ooh, oh!
Sports in this city is filled with a great deal of craze and enthusiasm, both negative and positive. When we bring visibility to a sport and they see on television these poor guys making millions and millions of dollars, LeBron can't walk up to a kid and say, don't choose basketball like I did. I'm making zillions of dollars, don't you choose it? So we find that to be a problem in trying to influence a kid with what direction. Mom always says, I want you to be better than us.
I was a product of the environment that they came from, so I could identify with it. I could feel the authenticity of what they were going through and grappling with. So what I tried to do was tell them about the realities of life. And one of the challenges you have growing up in a black environment is how do I escape this environment? How do I get to a bigger and more productive environment? For many of the young people today, that exit route is professional sports, entertainment, music. Then you can get into the vices, drugs, or illegal things.
Some kids are told and will learn about certain sports being a ticket to upward mobility. Having some path that you think is going to take you into a world that's better than the one you started in is different than actually having opportunities outside of sports, for instance, because the ones within sports are often exaggerated as to how likely they are to transpire.
It was in my genes. Like, I just heard myths and great stories. Like, I'll go to 25th and Diamond, the best playground in Philadelphia. And I would just go down there and I hear the guys over 35 and 40 just talking about how good my dad was. Like, my dad was one of the best players for Philly that didn't make the NBA.
When you start to be one of the top players around the neighborhood and everybody starts to hear about you, and you got certain guys that will pay for your talents. Yeah, I want you to play on my team. How you gonna play on my team? They'll pay you, because they want to be seen on the sidelines with some of the best basketball players.
Once more and more people start telling that story, I was like, damn, my dad was really good.
So when you don't make the NBA, it's sort of like, it just wasn't enough. You know, like to do something else. And then Tony was just getting born. So I was 28, 29 when I had to make a choice whether I wanted to go or stay teaching. So I called my little brother in California, me and him very close. I said, what should I do? He said, you should go because you're always gonna regret not going. And you love basketball. And that's when I left to go over here.
My relationship with my dad wasn't a typical father-son relationship as a kid because he was in and out of my life so much, because he was still playing basketball overseas and he was still pursuing his dreams.
2 or 3 months is not enough time with the kids out of a year. So I did that for 11 years.
I didn't get the opportunity to see him that much. So my brother Mike kind of filled that void of being the father figure in my life.
Mike had a big role. Mike was more, he wasn't just the big brother, he was like the dad. So he was also like the dad. He helped my aunt a lot.
Mike was just that supporter, father figure that we needed at the time in our lives.
When me and Michael first started dating, he broke down and he told me he felt as if that, you know, he's the only father figure that they have right now. You know, so he wants to make sure that they're not subject to the streets.
Mike, us, all the people I know, all the people Mike know, man, let us find out Tony and one of them was somewhere on somebody's corner. No, it's not happening.
He tried to keep them with the basketball, and if it wasn't him dealing with his brothers, he would have little talks with childhood friends and explain to them that either one or two things is going to happen, jail or death. But he always saw good in other people. All he used to do was get up, go to work, come home, do it all over again.
He was at all our games, whether it was an outdoor game, a high school game, any AAU game, he was always there at the game.
But everybody kind of just was going through the motions a little bit. All right, we're walking the ball up way too much. Let's get the ball out and go. He's been whining, he's want to score 100. I was going to let you get it tonight, and you're walking the ball up the floor. All right, come on, let's go.
Everything set up defense. Defense 1, 3. 1, 2, 3.
You know, I was impressed right away with who he was as a kid, and I guess that's where it took off, our relationship, because I kind of felt real comfortable with him without ever seeing him bounce a ball. He felt such a love for his mom and his brother because they were the two that were there with him all the time.
My mom could care less about what type of basketball player I was.
Ironically, Crystal, who was a very nice woman, she didn't care that her son was the best basketball player in the city. She just cared that he was a good kid.
Yeah, man, get my mom on the camera, man. You know what I'm saying? First time you see my mom on camera, it's going on our documentary, man. Something to dunk or something tonight.
I knew I was good when I went to Adidas Phenom camp and I was in 8th grade and I dominated the camp. I said, holy shit, I'm pretty good. I wound up being probably arguably the top 8th grader in the country. Then that's when it all started.
He was the guy. He was the state player of the year, the city player of the year. He was the guy that, When you said Newman Goretti, Tony Chennault was the first name everybody said.
Coming up, Tone was #1. I think like #1 in the country. I think in 8th grade, and I kept hearing about it. You know, a guy like myself, I kept getting mad.
Tony was like, you know, the best player, and I had just got on the team. Tony was the man. You know, I told the coach, like, Coach, I could play too. Coach never let me get in the game. Coach, I could play too. I could play too. And then one day I just told the coach, like, Coach, I'm getting splinters in my butt.
You know, he drove me as a kid. I was chasing him. You know, because he had the top spot, and I was coming forward.
Just really opened my eyes. He had everything it took. He was a talented, super player, and he wanted to always guard the toughest guy. He wanted the toughest assignment.
You know, every time I got a chance to go against him, you know, I tried to destroy him. And I know it was vice versa for him, and I kept saying to myself, I'm better than him.
My dad follows Tony much as he follows me. Like, he got Tony clippings in his book, whatever he calls it.
I was like the hope for my community. Not too many people make it out where I'm from, so everybody put their hope and their dreams in me making it.
When you the star coming out the hood, everybody want to flock to you. Everybody want to know you. Everybody want to be your friend. They want to jump on the bandwagon.
People start coming around because they noticed he was good and he was attracting attention all over the city. So, you know, people want to be around that.
Especially Newman Goretti, everybody talking about him, supposed to be the top player, blah, 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 blah. So I'm starting to, whoa. I was wondering if he's going to go through some of the stuff I go through. And he did. You know, everybody in the neighborhood want to be your friend. Everywhere you go, what you need.
If I need money, if I needed shoes or clothes and stuff like that, just they give me whatever you want. Everywhere I go, people was pointing at me. That's the #1 kid right there. There you go. It wasn't hyping in the neighborhood, it was hyping the country. Because, you know, my basketball talents, people would let me in the clubs, they put my face on the flyer knowing I was underage, just to see can they draw people out because of my name and who I was at the time. The partying was pretty cool, you know. I was, what 16, 17-year-old kid wouldn't like to get in the club as a junior in high school? Going out partying with grown men, grown women. My confidence was skyrocketed because like, I just felt like nobody could stop me. This dude's not better than me. He's not on my level.
The fact that he was such a fighter and not afraid of anything as a young player, I knew he was going to have a bright future.
I just wanted to be the best basketball player I can be and take care of my family playing basketball in the NBA someday. Teams from all over the country was calling for me to play for them, and that was my ticket.
Tony Chennault. Tony, you're going on to Wake Forest. Obviously, there's some big stages in the future for you.
When you're a kid growing up with great ability and you have all these plans of, you know, playing the NBA and making a lot of money and being able to provide for your family and live a life that, you know, only certain selective few can live, it's a huge adjustment.
It's a tough environment for young kids today who are gifted at an early age because other people fill your head with what I believe are unrealistic expectations. And as a young person, I don't know that your thought process is sophisticated enough that you can really put things in their proper perspective.
When I was coming up in the game, you aspired to be a college player, and then the pro game was after that, but your college career was your main focus. Now your pro career is your main focus from an early age, and college is looked upon as a stepping stone to being a pro.
I chose Wake Forest to play big-time basketball in the ACC. I wanted to follow in the footsteps of players like Chris Paul and Tim Duncan. It was my first college game, my first game in the ACC in the Joel Coliseum, 15,000 arena. I played pretty well in the first half. Second half, I got back in the game. I make a cut to the basket, and I just hear the bone snap in my foot.
And then he's out for a good chunk of the year.
He got injured, broke his foot, so he had to sit out. He should have sat out, but he didn't.
And instead of sitting out and just redshirting, He's as stubborn as a mule, and he's like, I'm getting back on the court, I'm getting back on the court.
That was a mistake I thought he made, but he shouldn't have played his first year.
My second season at Wake Forest was really so much better than my first season. I averaged close to 10 points, 3 assists a game. One game against Duke at home, I think I had close to 20 points against Ryan Kelly at the time. Mason Plumlee's in the lead, Miles Plumlee in the lead. Just one step below the NBA. Like, these guys was good. This is the best of the best in collegiate sports.
I try to do the best I can. Well, I must have had 20 guys that went to the NBA, but I had thousands of other kids that never made it.
About 1 out of every 4,000 high school basketball players, male high school basketball players, will eventually be drafted in the NBA. Now, that doesn't mean they'll play in the NBA. It doesn't mean they'll get a contract in the NBA. It means that they'll be drafted.
It is extraordinarily difficult to make it to the NBA. There are very few players that, as a percentage, wind up getting there. You know, there are only 30 teams, and I think players have to remember that when you come into the player pool that can go into the NBA, there's another crop coming behind you, another crop coming behind that. So you're competing with an ever-expanding pool of players.
Again, you don't want to tell kids that's not possible, but the reality is maybe 1% make it. And every kid that you recruit at SMU or Kansas or UCLA or North Carolina, generally they're really pretty talented kids, but it's what they do with that talent that really is the thing that's important. And you generally find that out when things don't go exactly as planned.
My mom was a very strong person. She had a good way of hiding it, but I would get reports back from my brother telling me, like, man, she's just in and out the hospital. She be in a breathing machine a lot of times. So it was just, those phone calls didn't sit well because I wasn't accessible to her. Me being so far away in North Carolina, I couldn't really do nothing for her. I'm only seeing her once a year, and like, she's like, that's my heart. So it's like, man, I might have to make that move and go home.
I've known Tony Chennault for probably 4 or 5 years now. He came to Villanova as a transfer from Wake Forest to play basketball here and to study here as a result of his mother's being sick and wanting to be close to home.
I think she just needed more support there at the time. Transferring back to home, I knew I had the opportunity to come back to Villanova. Maybe her coming to some of my games, sometimes being around your kids keep you alive because it gives you something to live for.
Having to learn a new system and make new friends and adjust to new teammates, it would be a challenge for anyone. And it was a challenge for Tony.
I rushed straight down to Einstein.
Mike just got shot.
Sometimes we want answers immediately, and life doesn't work that way. One of my coaches come get me at the time, rush me down to the hospital. Then I just see my mom and them outside crying.
Felt like nothing like that could happen to somebody that close that I knew my whole life.
He was at the wrong place at the wrong time. And, innocent bystander, got struck by a bullet that wasn't meant for him. Basically, he was there to help somebody. He was trying to get somebody a job. That's why he was on the porch. He never even had a chance. He got hit in the shoulder and he got hit in the back of his head.
It's difficult to stay positive when you see bad things happen to good people.
Michael was a great inspiration to Tony. Tony took a lot of his fire and desire from his older brother. And when that light went out, that was a devastating blow to Tony.
There was a time after Michael died where Tony came to me and said, I just lost my passion. I don't want to play. I played a lot for him, and I just don't have it. And his mom came in, and his mom said, you know what, we're not accepting that, and she said to me, she said, I know it's tough for him, but he's got to fight through. He's got to get his degree. He's got to, he loves basketball. I know he loves basketball. He's just going through a tough time right now, And And then Tony, same way, just came back and said, you know what, I gotta do this. You know, I gotta fight through this, and I gotta do this.
It's been a frustrating season for Chennault, not getting the type of quality minutes that he would like to off the bench for Villanova as the season progresses. Chennault down the right wing for Villanova and turns it over, dribbles off his foot out of bounds, his 4th turnover of the evening. Chennault pulls up for 3 from the right wing, off the back of the iron, no good. Chennault with the errant pass, another turnover for Villanova. Way over his head, out of bounds, continues to struggle for Chennault and the Wildcats.
I mean, I remember his first game, I think it was against Purdue, the first time they were on TV. I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned all night after watching him in that game. I mean, a cardboard cutout of Tony could have did what he did. You know, I couldn't believe it.
That first half of the year, I wasn't mentally right. I just thought I should have just took the year off and really figure out what I really wanted to do in my life.
And he was talking about like he didn't want to play that season. I'm like, no, you gotta play. He wouldn't want you to play.
Me playing and me being back home was our vision. So like that made it even worse.
He came to practice, always ready to go. He just stay strong.
But when you're a strong person, nobody never asks you if you're okay, you know? They just think you're just supposed to get over it, but at the time I'm still a kid.
Once we started really getting into this, deeper into the season, you saw it started affecting him just a little bit.
Eventually I got through it, but it was by far the most difficult time of my life. I'm just pumping her heart, trying to get her to come back to life, but she's just not responding. Just said she died of a seizure in her sleep. God worked in mysterious ways, but maybe that night she knew she was going home.
When his mom passed, that's when I thought, man, I know how hard Michael's death was on him. Now this.
My mom was a laughing, goofy, happy person, and I ain't see that a lot after my brother passed. It came from that.
The piece of her was missing, so she just couldn't go on no more. I think she wanted to be there for him. She wanted to be there, up there with him in heaven.
I think Tony's a great example of what real toughness is. That it's not about being the most physical guy and you know, pounding your chest and getting in a fight. It's about overcoming obstacles and meeting challenges, and as difficult as they may be, to keep plugging.
He has family tragedies that would defeat most people, but some kind of way he works his way through this.
I lost my dad when I was young. I was lucky, you know, like I said, I had coaches that were there for me, but nobody can replace your mom or your dad or your brother. And I have the utmost respect for kids that, you know, can kind of get up off the floor and, you know, do things that they never thought were possible because they were challenged and there was something inside them to make them do it.
The two people who was always there for me weren't there no more. And you could wake up one day and you have them in your life, the next day they gone. And I was like, damn, like, this is real. Like, I'm really a grown man now. Like, I have nobody besides my brother.
He was crushed when his mom passed. But watching him at the funeral and watching him speak, his talk about his mom and about life at the funeral was amazing. And we were in awe of him coming out of the funeral.
That's one thing that gave me motivation, that seeing those guys at my mother's funeral cut my spirits. Like, dang, like, man, these dudes must really care.
A loss is a loss in basketball, but losing two family members that were that close, that had a significance in your life, just can't compare those two.
Most people just quit, but I was never a quitter. I couldn't quit, no matter what. No matter if that man paid me 30 seconds, I was gonna show what I can do in 30 seconds. No matter what, and he knew that. In his heart, no matter how many minutes he played me, I was gonna play the hardest, and I was gonna be the toughest player out there.
Tony, like all of our athletes, everybody wants to play, and everybody wants to start. And to come here and to accept a role that coach gives you, which might be different than the role that you expected, and to see him embrace that and still be a leader was really exactly what we needed.
It was times on the bench I was like, while I'm here, I would ask myself, like, what benefit I got being on this team right now? I'm not playing. I'm not being the player I know I'm capable of being. But as time went on, I was being an inspiration to the other guys. I started to realize that I had to become a selfless person.
His leadership even though it was coming off the bench, is what made us a great team. And everybody on our team knows that. Fans might not know that, but everyone on our team knows that. Tony led that team.
I can always remember Coach Wright saying to the other members of the team, you know, that it didn't matter how much he played, that he always trusted him in critical situations, and to not be surprised if it was at the end of the game and he hadn't played that much, that he was still going to put the ball in Tony Chennault's hands. And that's exactly what happened.
77-76, Villanova leads by 1, 4.8 seconds to go. Todd Mayo at the line, trying to tie this game. Free throw on the way, and good. We are all deadlocked.
He called me and put me back in with 3 or 4 seconds left and said, you know what? We're running over for you.
4.8 seconds to go. Looking, 94 feet from the Villanova bucket. He gets it into Chennault. 3 seconds to go. Racing down the right side. Floater. 1 second to go. Off the glass and good at the buzzer. Count it. It's good. Villanova has won, or have they?
And they called an offensive foul.
Oh my goodness, they have called a charge on Tony Chennault. Wave off the basket on a controversial ending here in Milwaukee. Jay Wright cannot believe the call.
He makes the perfect play. No one else on our team could have made the play. He made it the full length of the court in 4 seconds, scored. No one else could have done that with speed, toughness, intelligence.
That's what I've been waiting for, like him just to give me the opportunity to show that that I could make a play in one of the most difficult situations.
And something out of his control took the game away from him, right? Just like his life.
Tony Chennault, what a journey it's been for this man. Now a chance to be a hero, and they take it away on a bad call. Overtime coming up right after this from Milwaukee on the Villanova IMG Sports Network.
There's a big fight, whether you are someone who's very talented or you someone who's not so talented. But you gotta realize there's a window of opportunity. There's always a limit.
Every kid that we have at SMU basically thinks he's going in the NBA. I don't want them to feel like they're a failure, that if they don't make it.
Well, the vast majority of players, myself included, you don't play in the NBA. So you can look at it that my ultimate goal was to be an NBA player, and I failed.
Basketball careers are so fleeting in that anything can change it. An injury, a bad call, anything can change your career. You can't control that.
The cards I was dealt, let's just be honest, just things like everything was just coming down on me at one time. So I had to figure out, the NBA might not be for me no more. It was difficult to say goodbye to this game. This game saved my life, man. I could have been on the streets. This one little round object created so many opportunities for me, met so many great people through this one basketball. And I was now saying goodbye to it. So now I had to change up, like, what can I do now that I can have a passion in? That same drive that I once had at Fisher Park, that same determination I had once I developed up there, what new passion can take that drive and determination I had? So I had to figure that out. I want to thank everybody for coming out. My name is Tony Chennault, and this short film, Chris, is a film I worked on throughout my senior year, and I hope you guys enjoy the film.
I can't believe this shit. This happened to Chris all because they affiliated me with somebody they think I know. He ain't deserve this. This shit gotta stop, man. He done lost his life, and ain't no telling where I'm gonna end up after this.
Chris. He now lives through Rakim.
For one, before my brother passed away, he was really in the film. He did a documentary. He had hundreds of other scripts he had written that I'm probably going to finish for him, and he had a strong passion for giving back to his community.
I can see the fire in his eyes the way I used to see it at Michael's. To me, he picked up where Michael left off, and all I could do is just smile and just say, Michael, he's doing it.
With this film, I mainly wanted to talk about in the urban community why we don't value life, why we don't realize the significance of our loved ones, are people in our life until they're gone.
He's a spitting image of him right now, especially with the direction that he's going. And he has one goal right now, and that's just to try to change some of the things that's going on in the streets of Philadelphia, which I'm so proud of him for.
Yes.
Are you working on any other projects right now?
Yeah, I'm in the process of working on a web series, Old Head. We actually have rehearsal later on today.
Showing hands careening the money out the drawer. Sound 005. Shot A. Take 4. What's up, Mom?
Come here.
With that project, we calling out older guys in the community to come back to lead the younger guys who don't have no guidance on doing the right things, try to get them back down the right path and stuff like that.
He knew he could go over and make some money, but he was so passionate, excited about the film part of it, that I think he said, I just want to start this right away. I want to get on it.
I think the real challenge is to how do we transition from these various life stages, as I like to call them. And each time I think you step from one life stage to another, you discover things about yourself that you didn't realize.
Everyone in their lives is telling them, you gotta be an NBA player, you can be an NBA player. Everyone's excited because they just want to be around a guy that makes it, and the message that gets passed to the guy, even though they don't mean to pass it to him, is we're all counting on you. If you don't make it, you're nothing.
I don't want a kid to feel like he's a failure if they don't make it in college or they don't make it in the NBA. There's so much ahead of you that, really can determine whether you're successful or not. When the time comes where you have to stop, the fact that you get a degree from Villanova or SMU or a real quality institution, it's going to give you an opportunity to succeed in life.
When his mom passed, I was so stressed what he was going to do. He stood up in front of everybody and promised that he would get his degree. And that was like a weight off my shoulders. At the graduation, we were staying in the gym at the time, and they were taking pictures with the coach. And I was like, I know Michael running around this gym. That's all he wanted, was for him to finish school. I could see it, and I know his mom was proud.
People think the coach wants them to go to the NBA. That's not what you want for every player. I want them to be the best men they can be after they play basketball, after they're finished. And he obviously is doing that.
You hope that all the things you learn by being a college player will give you the opportunity to make that transition.
I see you like to shoot. You're a shooter, man. You like to shoot jump shots. You don't like playing on defense. Yo, but you gotta realize, defense is gonna keep you in the game. As you get older, everybody can score. So you gotta find something that separates you. Kyrie Irving is probably the best player I ever guarded, hands down. Got so many different moves, different finishes around the rim.
So how do you explain that to a kid at a young age who is looking at that screen and saying, I want to be a great basketball player? Well, he might, but you got to make sure that I'm preparing you to be anything you want to be.
When I was your age, I thought I was going to make it to the NBA, but things in life happen. Things don't always work out the way you wanted to work out, but in life, it's all about how you respond.
Pursue your passions, pursue your dreams, pursue your goals, but always understand that the best laid plans of mice and men often go astray. As someone said, there's always the unexpected.
There's a lot of guys growing up, they've been going basketball, being their ticket out the neighborhood, but there's so many other opportunities you could do, so many other jobs, and develop different interests and passion that you might want to do later on in life.
You know what, it is okay to want to be a pro. It is okay to throw every ounce of your being into wanting to be great, but when it's time to get your academic business done, get that done with the same intensity.
It's not all about basketball. Don't let basketball define you. You define basketball, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what you gonna do if basketball don't work out, if you can't play in the NBA? What's your backup plan?
I'll be like an engineer.
In terms of addressing the larger structural and systemic issues, I don't think Tony's going to make a dent in it right now, but perhaps he could start a conversation where people like Tony, who have been through this and who have survived and who are articulate, they can get this conversation going so that more important systemic issues can be addressed.
You might not get all the fame and everything like that, but you make good money, take care of your family, you know, have a nice, healthy and wealthy life.
You know, kids now, they're young, so they really don't know, you know, the steps he's taking. So I think when they get older and you know, they realize, you know, life is bigger than like basketball and things like that, they'll realize that he's another great person to follow after.
I think kids are receptive to that kind of passion.
But seriously though, man, y'all be joking too much, man. You gotta go to college, you can't be joking. You get kicked out of practice laughing. Seriously.
Everything else does in life will will himself to make sure these kids get the message.
I noticed my time here, all our great teams did 3 things well. We gotta play for each other. Enjoy this time. You only get to go to high school once, man. Like once it's over, man. So seize the moment. Value these relationships y'all have with each other. These are gonna be your brothers for life. And then finally, I just wanna say, focus on being a good person, a leader, a man, because at the end of the day, people gonna remember you by what type of person you was, what type of impact you had on them. I wish you guys the best of luck this year, and let's get a 7-peat, let's bring it in, man. You know, go ahead, Fresh, you got it, man, you the leader now.
Come on, man, you know it's all about family. Family on 3, 1, 2, 3,
family.
You had to be somewhere all day to be having the type of skill you had. You couldn't just be in the house shooting on, you know, trash can.
That's the court you can find me at, man, you know.
I heard about it, you know, I didn't see it because I'm out the country, but, you know, you got eyes. Professor, I think you can do this, and I know it's still in your heart a little bit.
It's still in my heart, but how I'm making change by doing this. You know what I mean? I want to help change other people's lives.
You're doing what you want to do, and I know at this you'll do just as good as ball. At the end of the day.
So what was your thoughts about me coming back to come home and play for Villanova?
That was very special, you coming home in that way.
Yeah.
It still, you know, it really was. Not only on the court, but off the court.
Yeah, that's a sacrifice I had to make.
Big sacrifice, though. You got a lot of people just can't do that. I'll be honest, if I was in your shoes, that'd have been too much. After a while, it just would weigh me down because I couldn't really balance it. Not only Mike, at the situation with Mom, that would have been the ultimate, like, I throw up the white flag, I quit. Can't take it. No, you didn't. You did the opposite. That I think I'll never forget that the rest of my life. Yeah, man, very real. A lot of sacrifice. What about Tony? All the sadness and all the stuff you've been through, I'm very, very proud. So to answer your question, wow. I can keep making shots like that. Y'all laughing, I'm serious. I can keep making shots because my blood roll, it got me all started. I ain't got to jump. That thing can keep clicking the next couple of minutes. It got me hot, man. Talking about my man Mike, Michael J.
Mom and Dad, just want to say thanks for everything y'all did. Me and Sean's down here doing the best we can. As long as we got each other, that's all that matters. It's hard at times without y'all being here, but we both feel unstoppable when we know we got 2 angels watching over us. So I just want to say I love y'all, and y'all gonna always live through me, and I'm gonna try my best every day to be the best person I could be.